I'm trying to do it.
Three.
The 8 students. No, I'm telling you, Jeff, I want to use that my best. Because that's what it is. After people with bad eyes. Yep. What do?
We need to speak.
Well, come up here.
They're afraid of smoke. Two people in the front row.
It's like the guys.
Well, yeah.
and girls.
Nobody likes to sit up front. They're afraid they'll get called on.
I know I'm gonna get called on, I can move wherever.
But we didn't have the table that were over.
And you're all right. So you just. Oh, yes. I'm like, what's all big about the big dog?
Better wait up here.
Did you guys start last week? That was really, I mean, we talked about that.
Justin, are you like, you guys know is that what's going on?
All right, no, I think within.
Oh, I got you. I think it bugs me too, but you're there. You can take them out.
Yeah.
So what do we want? Okay.
That one, the
Well, please stop here, there.
Going to be.
Okay, it's 7 o'clock. We're gonna call the meeting to order. At 7 p.m.
All right. Oh, I don't know.
Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Gary. Rhonda. Jen. Christie.
Perfect.
Beth.
Yes, I'm here.
Agenda. I lately got Larry's tire, bid for our, grant money for doing tire pickup on 3 separate occasions, being May 20th and 21st, July 11th, and then August 19th to 20th. I'd like to just make sure that this, I have a line item on here, but I didn't have the attachment. Just make sure that the attachment's in there.
It is attached now. None of the agenda has changed since it was published. Last, when you removed the one item. But there are some additional attachments and reports now. So everybody knows.
Okay. So what we have in front of us is what's on the agenda with attachments, except for, you put tire, little Larry's on there?
Yep, I put that on there.
Oh, you got that on there, Tom? So we do have everything on the agenda, so we can approve it as presented. Can I get a motion to approve it as presented? You guys are slow, it's gonna be a long night.
No, I didn't. So this way. I'm sorry. So, what kind of motion am I doing as presented?
Yeah,
I'll make that motion if no
Bev
one
made a
else is.
motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Rhonda second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any nays? All ayes carried. We're taking public comment on the agenda items. Anyone got any comments on the agenda item?
I do. For starters, I would just say, I might have more comments later because there's now 227 pages, and the last time I looked, there was 151. I know you just mentioned other attachments, but I don't know what they are yet, so.
so I'll clarify that right now. Most of them are reports. The only other thing that I attached is instead of having that list of the changes that we made on for the handbook that Ken put in there. I actually put the handbook with the changes. In
So
there,
already incorporated in? Okay, yeah,
that's all. the
that would have
changes.
been helpful, yeah. Okay, so. One of the items on here was, I think probably JC's gonna talk about EMS options. And maybe something to do with full-time employment. And my recollection is back when we were doing all the employee handbook discussion, is that we were discouraging full-time employment. Because we don't have benefits, and so I'm just throwing that out. I'm glad Life EMS is here. That's probably still a great option for us. At the April 3rd meeting, it did sound like, support staff is on here again. And it did sound at that meeting that maybe we do have who we need. Dixie was appointed bookkeeper, and Kara sounded like she was willing to fulfill most or all of the other tasks that had been identified, which were payroll calculations, cemetery administration, data entry, maintain Proud City website, and upload documents onto iCompass. Those were the things I remember hearing. Additionally, maybe the bookkeeper, I've thought of a few things since, so maybe if she's willing, but it's up to the board. Credit card policy, there's been in the last hour an improvement on that discussion, but still in the packet. As far as board policies being by motion versus resolution and policy, it does make sense after you have a discussion that you want to do something formal so it doesn't get lost in the shuffle. And the cost of elections had been discussed previously, even though it's on here again. And at that time, I thought the decision was to let it ride until the State Board of Election clarifies new processes that will become effective next year. Those were just observations from what was in the packet.
No. there's only that.
Any other public comment?
On the agenda.
On the agenda. Here.
No.
Oh. Moving on. Consent agenda, special board meeting of April 3rd, 2023, minutes. Any discussion?
Approving the minutes.
Any discussion on the minutes?
Wait, you can't, this is a consent agenda.
I know, I'm just seeing if there's any comments on it.
Okay. You can't change it now because we approved the agenda.
I do have, if we're on the consent agenda now, I do have some questions on a couple of different items on the check register report. I see that there is two entries again to Hancock, which is our pension plan. Well, are those paid quarterly?
They're supposed to be paid quarterly, that's.
And apparently the last quarter, or you're paying ahead a quarter? I mean, this is the first.
No, I got behind this quarter.
Okay, so there's two on here that are correct.
Yes,
Okay. The only other thing I was interested in is that on the invoice register, there are 3 entries here on the 29th of March, all for Pastor, Foster Swift.
Yes, they had a billing issue on their end, and I got a bunch all at once, and they said that there was some issue, and now we're all caught up.
Okay, because I was wondering, because, I mean, we're talking back in August of 22nd and September of 22nd.
Yes,
And I couldn't figure out why those weren't paid.
yeah, because there was some sort of a billing issue on their end, and I don't, maybe I need to keep a list and say these are normal bills, and this one came in, but I haven't done that before, so. I did not realize that they hadn't billed us those couple of months until they sent something.
Those are the only questions I had regarding the consent agenda with the only other thing was on the treasury report, and I see that was in her report of why there were three different months, but that was because there was problems with the bank, and she clarified that in her report, so I'm good with the rest.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I'll make the motion.
Bev made a motion, and second,
Second.
Rhonda second,
No,
who second?
Gary did.
Gary did. I think I'm getting a head cold. Roll call vote, Gary,
yes.
Rhonda,
Yeah.
Ken, yes, Christie,
Yeah,
Beverly.
Yes.
Okay, can I start putting your hand up? Information report. Dave,
Howdy, everybody. So, had a lot of talk about coverage and shortages, and we're trying to find part-time people, talk to everybody and sent you an email about the idea of putting on a full-time person. Don't get scared of the word full-time. I'm asking for two things. Don't say no. Just stay open-minded with me and let's work through this for a couple months. And hear me out. Bangor has a full-time guy. His package is 46,000-ish salary, 4,800 annually for in lieu of insurance at $400 a month, and $2,400 retirement annually, $200 per month to put toward 401k. That works out to be $22.12 an hour for his base salary. Put on a full-time person, $18 an hour. That's $37,440. We give them the same package of $2,400 for $200 a month toward retirement, $4,800 or $400 a month cash and no insurance. That brings the total package to $44,640. We currently have in the budget $28,000 for daytime pay for the part-time people. We paid about $5,000 last year for snow plowing, if I remember correctly. I asked for that number and didn't get it. If you take $5,000 of my salary and about the $3,000 of lawn mowing that we pay, buy a small lawnmower, buy a plow. That full-time person could plow our parking lots, could mow our yards, could do all that upkeep, could even take the money out of the budget here and plow this parking lot. Just with the 28,000 from the daytime salary, the 5,000 from my salary, the 5,000 for plowing, the 3,000 for snow plow or mowing, that's $41,000. At that point, we'd have to come up with, $3,640 from somewhere. And we would have daytime coverage all year. The position could have stipulations as far as vacation, where because JC, Jeremy and I all work for a school district, take your vacation in the summers, work it around, or summer or spring break, Christmas break, work it around when we're off. That would give us coverage. And we would be covered during the day for fires and medical. And the issue that we're going through now would be eliminated.
Sick time, well, if he gets sick.
He'd have to schedule a sick time in the summer. It's, we're not gonna plan for everything, but this plan is a whole lot better than all of us being at work in Lawrence. And John being in work in Kalamazoo and Aaron being in work in St. Joe. We're not, nobody's gonna respond. If we get a fire or something like that, I'm coming from work, but you know, if a house catches fire, I'm 15 minutes out to get a truck, I'm another 5 to 8 minutes. You know, that's a lifetime when your house is on fire or you're in a car accident or something along that line. The biggest concern I've got is a car accident where someone is entrapped or a different kind of entrapment or injury. Structure fire, we've got Bangor, South Haven, Lee Township coming. It's the times when it's not that level of a call where we don't have the automatic aid coming. To where it's, how many times have we gone someone falling out of a tree? A tree worker falls out of a tree. And we're the first ones there medically, and then life shows up. Someone gets in a car accident, you know, and trapped in a car, we're gonna be there cutting them out. Life doesn't have jaws. We're gonna be the ones that are responsible for getting them out of that vehicle. Those are the traumatic injuries are more of my fear than the structure fire. We're covered for structure fire.
I hate to interrupt your flow, but we have an agenda item to talk about this, right?
Yeah,
So we're supposed
we
to
also
be
got it
taking.
now. I mean, we can,
Please don't make me do this again.
if we wanna do it again. But,
Yeah,
That's fine.
you need to take our reports before we discuss it, is all I'm
Yeah.
saying.
But, yeah, we'll discuss it later. Anyone else on their report?
Thank you for your time.
You hear from me?
Yeah,
Okay.
always want to hear from you.
Hey, I have to say, I saw the report is online. Thank you.
Well, I have news that you don't. I think. Well, basically, I'm gonna talk about ambulance service because it's so bad in my municipality, so. Equalization report is in. Have you gotten a copy yet, Ken? I don't think they've sent them out yet. Our county assessed went up 11.75%. The tax bill went up 6.63, and most of that was driven by residential. So, good thing. We have a new finance director that started last Tuesday. She came from Allegan County. She was a finance director there. We've hired a search firm to help find a new administrator. FOC, the friend of the court, has moved out of the admin building. They were in the basement since I started, and that was one of my, I think we need to get them out of a basement. To go down there, we'll take our tours occasionally. They had other than where they came in at, their only other escape was climbing up a ladder to go out of a window. So that was not very good for 20-some people. So thank goodness. They moved into the old Kelly Page Law Building. It's got a kitty corner. The county bought that and we rehabbed it. I had lunch with the HOTEP president, Kelly Price, 2 weeks ago now, I guess. And of course, they're waiting on funding notifications from the state and the feds. And one thing we got going for us that the energy secretary is our former governor, Granholm. So hope to see she'll smile kindly on us when they talk about opening up the nuclear plant again. And right now they have 250-60 people working there. And there's been minimal decommissioning so far. So we're just waiting to see if we can get that back. And they're gonna, at one point, they were talking about using those smaller reactors that they're still designing. Sounds like they're gonna go with the full reactors and still design the mini reactors for use later. We had a meeting, kind of an exploratory meeting for youth mental health.
Oh,
That's real crisis in our county.
yeah, it is.
And we're sitting there Friday talking about it. We learned of a young man from Manawan, 13 years old, that had committed suicide.
And come to find out later, it was one of our deputies' sons. So, it's a real problem. We need to address it. And I had a Southwest Michigan Planning Commission meeting today. And that's one of the things that we're looking at there to, we need to do something. Places for kids to go, things to do. It's something as small as there's a group trying to start up, because of another situation where a young man died. But teaching kids to play guitar, artwork, and things like that, they accomplish something. Because when the kid can accomplish something, it makes them feel good. So, stay tuned and.
The county's gonna start offering grants for programs like that, to be held in other small communities. I'm just.
Well, I mean, there's all kinds of funding out
Yeah.
there. We found out again today at the planning commission, the feds have. They have 66 million for trains and freight passengers. So, even looking at that, with our trains going through and talking about how we can make those more convenient for people, how we can use buses. I mean, back in my earlier days selling real estate, most people didn't know that you get on a train and go to Chicago in the morning and come back at night, which I'm sure people don't want to do that every day, but for people that come to, out here to the lakes or South Haven, where the families come and stay the summer, where those people can, we need to advertise it more. We're talking about it. And that all sounds good. We have a lot of that in place now. It just needs to be advertised. So, there'll be some work done, towards those types of things. And if anybody's got any thoughts or ideas, just give me a holler. So.
I'd love to see, I want to say that I would love to see there be more youth activities in local communities. And we have a facility here, but you have to have people and funds in order to run those.
Right. Well, one of the things is they were talking, these folks wanted to build something. It's like, I talked to, Dave Manson at the ISD. There's a lot of empty schools after 3 o'clock, and there's even some empty buildings that we could use. So, like I said, we just had that first meeting Friday, so we're talking about it. So just want to make you aware of that.
Awesome.
It's important.
Do they have any access to mental health services that are intercare system there?
Well, I mean, we have it at the county level, and we had those folks there at that meeting also. So we're just trying to figure out.
I meant like regular company.
Yeah, I believe there is, but and today that kind of came out in that meeting. If you were to call and say, hey, I got a kid that's in trouble, and need to find some help for him, not every kid needs to go to a mental health counselor. We'd like to get up before that, before they need that, where they can go to, one of these after school places, learn how to play a guitar, learn how to artwork and all that kind of stuff where, it's just something that's badly needed. So.
Just for your information, I will tell you, it is very hard to get a child mental health care in our county.
Yeah.
I have a child that is a foster adopt. And after adoption, it took me a year and crying and complaining to everybody to get him help.
Well, and that's what we're trying to, get by.
I just wanted to let you know that they can't just walk in and get therapy, so it's
Well,
tough.
I talked to some of the teachers, even at the younger grade, and they said, we have some kids that, act up and we can, they call and try to get them help that way. So it doesn't always happen. Yeah, I don't know. I said, this is all new to me. So,
I know.
yeah, so I appreciate that. Anything else? On the search is on for new administrator. We hired the firm to do that. So, thanks.
Yeah.
Anyone else on the information reports want to make a statement? Hearing none. Mark, I see you're here. Our meeting normally goes late and the next public comment would be maybe 10 o'clock.
Hey, I brought my wife along. She wanted to see what I've done for 43 years. And so.
If you want to talk about Boone, is that what you're here for? Mark?
Yeah, just essentially kind of see let them know we're interested in what's happening.
Well, if you want to get up and talk, I'll give you public comment time right now, so you don't have to stay.
I would actually like to declare a point of order. It's not that I don't want to hear what he has to say, but we did approve an agenda the way that it is written.
I just think it is courtesy to allow public comment at this time. I don't.
Let me help a little bit, okay? because I'm not here to bend anybody's ear about one thing or another. Some of you know me. I've handled municipal law for 43 years. Represented most of this county at one time or another. And when my friend Bonnie got a hold of me, or Holly, it didn't take very long to figure out that maybe there'd been a mistake. And mistakes happen in government. Government, however, is very tough in dealing with mistakes. We see that on the national news, see it in the state. And in the locality, the best advice I can give anybody is you just deal up front with the public, just like you deal with people around your own kitchen table. So I think your point might be is you probably have gotten some petitions and things from some folks that have things to say. And they deserve to be heard. I think the biggest thing that I see that goes wrong when we do that stuff in government is the first thing we do is we take their stuff off the agenda. Or we say we got to consult with lawyers. Because the minute these folks hear that, they think something shenanigans is up. And there's nothing further from the truth. Now, we should have lawyers involved. Bonnie should have somebody there to help her. She just wants to have her shed if she can. But if there's a problem, we'll have to deal with it. So, you know, what the township board thinks strongly about is getting together with the attorneys, with your E&O people. Townships have insurance. And if there's been mistakes, and I'm not saying there has been, some of the first persons you better get on board is the folks that deal with mistakes in municipalities. Because it said they happen all the time. And it's not, most of the municipalities I've gotten in Van Buren County over the years have all had lakes and zoning ordinances. And zoning ordinances, when I started, were this thick. They now look like the Fung and Wagnall dictionary. And I pity any poor building inspector or zoning enforcement person to kind of pick up all the stuff that's not just in that Bible, but the state of Michigan's Bible and the federal government's Bible. It's a very hard job. And I'm sure the building inspector, zoning person did the best they could. They may have made a mistake and we'll deal with that. But I just want to make sure everybody understands Bonnie's innocent here. She just applied for the permit. She didn't come in and say, I want to do this or do that. And that's what she wants, to be treated fairly and appropriately. So if you have any questions, fine. If not, then
No,
Bonnie, why don't you stick around for the whole meeting?
we appreciate you coming in and staying.
Well, I hope I shed some light on it.
I think I told you that we have our township attorney looking at
Yep.
it. We don't know the facts here.
And
We
neither do
can't make a
we.
decision and we don't wanna say something that is not correct.
Right, well, and I think that's good, but I think that starts a process that's more transparent if everybody says, we really don't know and we're looking into it before people start.
And that's where we're at.
You know, that gossip thing starts out in the public and it goes crazy. And, you know, I know the minute I show up or a lawyer shows up, everybody gets all heightened about it, and they shouldn't. You know, everybody's here to help one another. So with that being said, Gary, it's good to see you again.
Yes, sir.
You like being on that side of the table? No, sir. Bless you. Take care, folks.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Holly.
I'll exit. I told her I was gonna call her about it. This reminds me of my other friend. She had a very sad year.
Okay, we're gonna move on to unfinished business. Columbia Township Emergency Service Department presents EMS service options for discussion. Dave, you got more on that?
No,
Should you do something to give us something in writing that kind of laid out what you said and
we're still working on it. I just wanted to throw the numbers out so everybody can think about them.
when do you think you need somebody on board?
last month, you say yesterday? We're gonna be down to one person at the end of the month, so we're gonna have a lot of overtime.
I would like you to think about, as you're putting your report together, costs that will end up being recurring based on the changes, insurance, maintenance.
LP, electric, all that stuff.
And because I just had a quick question, would this be, so when you first proposed the part-time, the daytime, they also were going to be doing grass and plowing and all of that
No,
stuff.
they weren't ever doing, the daytime, part-time folks were never going to do that. We've not bought a plow, we've not bought a lawnmower, we've never proposed that for the part-time.
Okay, I thought I remembered in early discussions that that's what they would be doing when they didn't have other.
They're doing truck checks, building checks.
Okay, they're
buildings,
doing fire
trucks,
department
yeah.
related, so. What happened to everyone? They just,
Nobody can survive on part-time work. The last guy that we have is working, what, four part-time jobs? Four part-time jobs, try to stay afloat and pay payments and rent and food. So.
There's some other things I wanted to talk to you about, but, one of the things that you will need to research is the current changes to employment law. Because there are some requirements that you will need to budget for.
Some of those things don't apply to fire.
Okay, so then you need to document that, because these are new laws, so you need to make sure that that is the case.
We're working on the numbers. I know GC was working on stuff, Jeremy, stuff, and I'm working on it as well. So we'll have that to you by the next board meeting.
Can you wait till the next board meeting?
But we're gonna have
But
to.
I just heard by the end of the month, we don't have somebody.
Well, we're gonna have to do the
We're
best.
actually short right now.
Yeah.
Because right now, we normally staff 3 to 4 part-timers. And 3 of those part-timers are on full-time employment because they cannot survive. I mean, that's the thing. And we do that going into this. It's just we don't have any new people on board yet.
I hear you, and I'm trying to help you to get the one 40-hour person.
Yeah.
And if you need a meeting before, if you lose everybody, it's gonna be awful. So even if you have one left and you need to work 40 hours, then we need to have him work 40 hours.
Also, in your plan, as you guys are writing that up, if you could include the contingency, and the one task that you mentioned that we will need a contingency for, that I'm thinking of off the top of my head, is plowing. If you had somebody that was on, multiple medical calls and they couldn't come and plow it at the earliest time, we would need a contingency for that. So I just trying to make sure that when the report comes through, that it's fully robust.
All right, we'll try to plan for everything.
Well, I think what we ought to do is try to give some comments to them of what we're looking for. Like,
That's what I just did.
yeah, write them down and make sure we got it covered.
You also need to look at the Fair Labor Act. I did some research on that, what part-time and full-time is, number of that, and benefit packages versus employers do not have to offer benefit packages.
right, I did too.
So when Dave and the rest of the guys get their stuff together, then we can look at this a little bit more intelligently and make some good decisions for the department.
The only thing I do want to mention is that the new laws that are currently pending in court, but it seems like they're gonna go through, there's a possibility we may have to offer PTO at the benefit.
Oh, I thought that we already were going to, based on how many hours for everyone, even, regardless if they're part-time, full-time,
So that's what the new law would state.
like an hour per every so many hours. if
Yeah,
they
it's
work
for
or
every,
something
they
like
have to, but I was just reading that every 30 hours, they have to get so much PTO.
that. One thing I'm wondering is if it would be unwise to even expect them to do like the plowing and stuff in the winter, because I would rather have them working on fire stuff and ready.
Well,
And
once they get their numbers together and their schedules and their ideas are, then we can pursue.
yeah,
So that would be helpful, guys.
Yeah.
I'd like to say too, that this can be made as difficult as you make it. The accrual of vacation time, to me, is an insult. I went through that when I started my new job, and it almost led me to quit, go back to South Haven. I was told when I started, July 1st, you get 3 weeks vacation, when your vacation starts. Well, what they meant was, and I've got an email that says, July 1st, your 3-week vacation will begin. What they meant was, is you accrue it, which is an insult.
I'm not, just to be clear, I'm not saying, I'm not providing the information about how we do it. I'm just saying that that's the law states we have to give a certain amount.
Right.
And
I know.
it's changing.
Especially with what Whitmer's doing now, as far as the unions go, and you used to be able to opt out of paying union dues, now everybody's forced back into it, that doesn't even want to be in a union, now they're stuck paying it. So, yeah, we'll put together a package and for that.
Okay, we're gonna move on to 2H, and I'm gonna recommend that we move this till next month because it's going to be affected by what we discussed on the hourly wage.
I'll move to postpone until next month's regularly scheduled meeting.
I'll support. Oh, go ahead, Derek.
That's faster than I can write.
All in favor?
Well, I gotta figure out who did it.
Aye.
See, I got
I moved, Gary seconded.
Gary,
And all.
and the ayes carry, can I say that?
Okay,
Trying to move this on.
and now we're.
Life, you're on.
All right. Well, good evening, everybody. Appreciate you getting us on the agenda here. So it's hard to believe that it's that time already, but it is contract renewal. Our contract is set to expire this coming June on the 12th. So before you, we have the renewal packet that we're looking at. Nothing too fancy with this, trying to keep it as straightforward and simple as possible for everybody. This is the same agreement we're putting before the other municipalities in Van Buren County that we serve, which is the city of Gobles, Bloomingdale Township and Pine Grove Township. And obviously a joint kind of arrangement to take all of those dollars funding together to support the one ambulance for all of those municipalities, combined with the call volume revenue there. So before again, this the extension agreement there, we're looking to put in place a 5-year extension. Again, begins on June 13th, 2023. And happy to really entertain any questions about EMS service, the contract extension that you may have.
The only question I have is, entering into this contract for the next 5 years. If, first, let me back up a little bit. What would it take to be able to have your unit or another unit closer to this area if we were to get maybe a couple other townships involved, or what's the normal procedure for doing that if you've done it in other areas?
Yeah, so the circumstances here are not unique. In fact, we were just talking a little bit before the meeting about Lee Township to your north here is kind of in a similar set of circumstances. So we are really kind of base agnostic, right? We can go wherever the base happens to be. In this particular set of municipalities, that base happens to be on the western side of Pine Grove Township, which leads to longer response times here. We have a very similar situation with our Fenville service area, where the base is actually built in Fenville. And we have Lee Township to the very far southern perimeter of the area. They have the highest call volume in that entire group of municipalities and the longest response time simply because we're running from the base. So to answer your question, though, we look at roughly about $750,000 annually as the cost of a 24/7 staffed ambulance, including all your overhead, repairs, insurances, fuel, maintenance, crew dollars, everything wrapped into it. So that's kind of the ballpark number. In this county, because there are subsidy dollars involved with each municipality, it typically takes about what we have here. So we have 3 plus the city of Gobles, so 4 municipalities total to really kind of support one ambulance. I actually was looking at the financial performance for our county, this particular section of the county last year, and our operation actually lost about $39,000 last year operating in this area, even with all those municipalities. And that was just simply a matter of sometimes the call volume comes up, sometimes the call volume goes down. And that's obviously based on some of those billables that are included in it. So again, not trying to be roundabout here, but it takes a little bit more buying power, if you will, combining municipalities together. So for example, if we added in Bangor, City of Bangor, Bangor Township, you know, got some of the other municipalities, probably 2 to 3 additional municipalities, it would depend on the call volume too. We would look at that and see if there were a way for us then to afford to put an additional unit on at that sort of time. Does that help, that answer kind of what you're after?
Yeah, thanks. That's all, thanks.
Do you talk with the county about the situation out here and the way that they fund also to help us?
Very limited. So we do have a contract with the county, kind of as a whole, and we're actually required on the last page of this, you can see the new rates there. We're proposed, we have to keep those on file with the county. That's pretty much the extent of the conversation with the county side of it.
So they don't look at the response times that the communities have and find out where the weaknesses
To my
are?
knowledge, I don't believe they do. The Medical Control Authority, which just met today, Van Buren Medical Control Authority does look at that periodically and assess those. So Van Buren County, I think even maybe when we had started here in Columbia, didn't even have response time standards for the county then. So they kind of established a 16-minute metric as the kind of the standard for this particular county. Those are things that also fluctuate over the years over those response time standards. One of the big hot topics we actually were discussing in the Van Buren Medical Control Authority meeting this morning was the reduction of lights and sirens responses. So what's been found nationally and is actually really kind of a hot button topic as far as EMS goes is, does lights and sirens actually make the difference, right? In rural communities, you're really only saving maybe 30 seconds, maybe a minute. Is that minute going to make a difference in the care of that patient at the end of the day when you transport them to the hospital and they sit and wait for 4 hours to be assessed then? So that's one of those things that we're looking at. There are certainly a subset of calls, which is where the rescue for the fire department is hugely important, like subsets like cardiac arrest, people that are not breathing, those sorts of things. Truly, then the seconds matter, the minutes matter. But for the vast majority of the EMS calls, everybody wants to see like a 6-minute or a 4-minute or 8-minute, you know, pick your number, but those don't really improve the patient outcome at the end of the day, or really even the patient satisfaction.
I had quite a lengthy conversation with Tim McGee at Central Dispatch, and about a year ago, I asked for all the response times for our guys' life, call out time, response, calls off, on scene, off, you know, and it was about a 90-page report that I got for the onset from when they started. Because there was, to my knowledge, nobody monitored what was going on, or if we needed more people, or if we needed less people, or if we needed another ambulance, that sort of thing. That's what I was looking at. And I would say that when you take all the responses and everything involved, it was about a wash. Because sometimes you guys were called off, sometimes they were called off, sometimes they were first on scene, sometimes you were, sometimes there was like 5 seconds difference. But I want to say that the response and the amount of time involved for the whatever the call was, you guys and our fire guys did an excellent job. Excellent job. So I was after looking at that, I did look at every 90 scanning through. It was a good report, and I thought both sides did an excellent job. So,
Well, thank you.
Okay, I'll move to adopt resolution 2023-011, a resolution to extend the designation of Life EMS Inc. as primary EMS service provider. Support.
I have a motion to support. This is money, roll call vote, Gary,
yes.
Rhonda,
Yeah.
Kenja, Christie,
Yes.
Yes.
Support staff.
All right, thank you all. Just one clarification, do you want me to wait till the end to grab a signature? How do you want to do that, Christiane? That's,
I did not print it for him to do right now, but I can send it.
I can get it later.
Is it okay if I just send it, just
Yep,
email it to
so
you?
what we'll do is get our signature on it and get you guys a copy back.
You don't have a printed copy of it?
I have a printed copy right here,
Oh, I haven't signed it.
but I don't want to, totally.
Bring it up here, I'll sign it.
No time like the present.
However people prefer to do it.
What is today? 4/18. 16?
18.
18, I could have known that.
So what about the area townships? I hear that Pride Care is on the way, the rest of the way out or out. Are you guys going to be serving them, or do these areas even know?
I mean, I can't really speculate on all of
Right,
the
yeah.
that's taking place there, but,
Can you just make a copy of that really quick?
all right. Well, thank you, folks. Appreciate your time, and Christy, thanks for staying on my case about the reports there. I apologize for the tardiness of those.
All right, thank you.
We got support staff discussion. We have, with our last meeting, we talked about, having Dixie Kovac come in, she's a CPA, and to help out with what we call the bookkeeping, station. We talked some more with, other people that were here, we talked to Cara, she wants to do like the cemetery stuff, she said, while she's home and board, she can, input data, and she can help out, do the stuff. We had Ruth that we have here that probably has some downtimes, and we talked about maybe one day a week being closed just for catching up with doing cemeteries, and get 4 hours dedicated every week to getting the maps and stuff like that done. And that way the support staff would actually just be a charging point for a whole bunch of number of people to catch up. Did I say everything that we talked about last time?
I think so.
Do I have it covered?
Yeah.
Is there any other discussion we need on that?
I've reached out to the attorney to discuss that further, and they are preparing a memo.
Yeah.
So I would like to postpone this discussion until next month.
We can do that.
You need a motion? You need a motion for that?
Yeah,
I'll make a motion to postpone this.
Barely made a motion.
Support staff until next month.
Got a second?
I'll support.
Christie second, all in favor, say aye. Ayes. Any nays? Dixie still is willing to come in and help. I'll get her with you and you can use her whatever you. I don't want her interfering with your statutory duties, but things that you can do, I would like to see some relief to you, so.
Well, one further note on that, even though we did just postpone, our handbook states that we have a payroll clerk,
We can change that.
and we don't have one.
We can change that.
Got the handbook here on the agenda.
Well, we're gonna work on it and postpone it. Take care of it. H5 is credit card usage policy resolution. What do we have? A couple of, we have the original one there. Then we have an edit, right?
Yes. So what you see is the original. You see a copy of the policy with markup on it, so you know what was changed. And then you see the resolution with all the changes accepted. But I have also seen some other things floating around, and I don't know where those, what exactly is going on there, so.
Like what? I mean,
All I know is I've seen other.
From our last
policies.
meeting, didn't we have a draft at our last meeting?
we had a first read
Yeah,
and
It's
that's,
gone? Did you take that and incorporate that in here?
There's I was not provided with the exact same copy that apparently everyone had, because
It was,
just
it
before
was
this meeting, I
attached to
saw
this at
something
one time.
different. Well, the one that you took that was attached to this, I did make those changes. I removed H.
Okay, well, that should have done it because we went to
Yep.
the 3 days and I see that in it. We had 72 hours, I think. You put it 3
Right.
days. I'm okay with that.
Right.
And then we,
But I also added, an item. I added a note about recurring
we
transactions.
lined it out the H, right? We
Yes.
put the new H in, that's a new H, right?
Yep.
And that's what we put in, right?
Yep.
Yeah, those things are, the only thing that's different than what you got, as far as I'm aware. The only thing that's different from what you guys had talked about last month is that I added a paragraph in
Step
here.
when
about
the
the
transaction
recurring.
is reoccurring monthly or a regular time period in support of township equity under the circumstances, initial charge be credit card invoice form found in appendix A be completed, but no additional form is required to be sent. And what are you actually saying there?
So one of your comments was that every time a charge occurs, you want that form filled out with every single charge. My comment was that is a waste of time because there are recurring charges that we should be able to just provide an invoice for. So,
I think what was said is here is if there isn't an invoice,
see, that's what I thought it was
then
supposed to say.
it was or.
That's what I
and
thought.
Or, not and, or.
I agree with you. That's what I thought the original intention was. However, Ken's email stated something different. And actually, there's a conflict in the policy. So the policy says, in C, a copy of the credit card slip to the clerk and a completed credit card invoice form. But then later, it says, G says any transaction that appears on the statement that are not documented in the credit card slip or a signed voucher. So there is a conflict there. I would be thrilled with just removing that except when transaction is occurring piece and just putting or instead of and C.
Well, it doesn't contradict itself. If any transaction appears on the statements that are not documented with a credit card slip or a signed voucher.
That's the part I like. It's C that I don't. C says a copy of the vendor credit card slip to the clerk and a completed credit card invoice form.
No, that's supposed to be or.
That's what I.
Credit card invoice.
So if we're okay with changing that and to or, then we can remove that other paragraph that I added.
So if they
I don't think we need to.
do,
No, we won't if we make that an or.
Where's to say and when did C say and?
There's the and that should be an or.
And. Yeah, that should be an or.
can you explain to me what credit card slip is as opposed to receipt?
Yeah, we can change that
We
one.
can change the slip to receipt. It's the same thing.
Okay,
That should have been an or.
Yeah, I thought it was an or.
Yeah, I thought it was an or too until I saw your emails and I started researching and I went, wait a minute.
You're actually reading my, nobody reads my email. Yeah, change that to, or what else did you, and
Okay,
then
well-
you added,
You can remove my paragraph if we change that to or.
well, yeah, I didn't like your paragraph anyway.
We're not video right now. All right, so if that's the case, then I would like to move that we adopt resolution 2023-010, the credit card usage policy with the change of and to or in item C and removing the except paragraph in item C.
2023-010.
Yes,
Yeah.
So it's not saying that you're paying it in full every time, correct?
no, it's not.
You gotta pay.
I don't like,
You gotta pay the statement in full when it comes.
Well, yes, the statement should be paid in full when it comes.
but, so what,
Maybe we're not
page
understanding.
here,
Maybe we're not understanding. What I'm saying is I've been paying some of the
Shall
invoices
be
that come in early.
paid
And you're saying you
within.
don't want me to do that.
You've got here shall be paid within.
You're
not
looking at
more
me and
than
I do have a
60
strong
days.
opinion,
Yeah.
but I'm not
The
up
credit
there.
card statement should be paid, whatever's on the statement. And
Like-
So to avoid us paying late fees and then if there's
That's right.
anything.
that's right.
But having them
What
assessed,
Christie's trying to say is when she gets an invoice that's on the credit card, she goes ahead and pays the credit card for that invoice that she has. And she sets the invoice along with the check as part of the credit card. And what she's trying to do is keep up with the credit card. And then at the end of the month, when she gets her bill, she just pays the rest of the credit card.
why would you do that?
Why would you do that?
Well, we started doing that because of the problems with the mail system and we weren't getting payments there on time. So if we.
Back when
sent
it was
them-
First National
Yeah,
Bank?
back when it was First National. So I just continued it because then as those bills are coming in, I could just send them right out. I wasn't holding them. And that made for not as likely a chance of having interest and fees.
The problem with doing an invoice that's not on the credit card bill, if you did something and it didn't hit right away, then if you pay something, the next time this thing comes in and it hits, how do you know if you paid it or not?
Well, if the ones that Rhonda saw, she probably saw I'm marking them off. So when I get it, I look through and I see if they were paid and I mark them off. But I will say, I admit my mistakes. There is something that's not right now. And I have the spreadsheet all filled out and I have all the stuff there and I need to figure out where the mistake was made. But mistake or not, I still go through and I check them all off. And I would have done the same thing one way or the other.
Well, my feeling is you pay the credit card invoice in full, whatever's on there.
Okay,
I don't
so
You
get
that's,
just said invoice and you meant
I'm
pay.
sorry, I'm sorry.
so if that's the case, then I would like to propose that they only be paid electronically. To ensure that they are received on time.
I would agree with that. Not agree.
So those are the two options. In my opinion, those are the two options. We either pay them early when they come in, so, or we do electronically.
Would you have a problem with doing them electronically?
No.
Okay. Problem solved.
So,
And
Do we
it's
need to
still,
add that,
how this
do
would
we
change
need to
this?
add the electronic thing to this,
But I still need
statement. Still need the statement.
That's fine. I actually gave you,
I know, I see that.
and
I thank you.
yeah, I remember sitting here and telling them that you needed to have access to reports and to be able to do payments.
right, and then they gave all these choices for credit cards.
Yeah.
And then we gave you the different ones.
Yeah.
And the one you pick cannot be supported within their online.
Yeah.
The Pinnacle could not be supported within that. So she,
haven't had it.
I did not know that.
yeah, we haven't been really thrilled with it the whole time.
I had no idea that was an issue.
Because I kind of sold you guys on PNC
Yeah.
because of being able to do that. It works great at church. And then here, it didn't work
Yeah,
because it was Pinnacle instead of their general rewards fund.
I had no idea.
Yeah, well, there wasn't good enough communication. She was looking for access and you didn't understand why she didn't have access.
Yeah.
But she really didn't have access.
Well, that's because when we had that meeting with them, I told them she needed access for.
So now
Right.
that I've got access now.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't be a problem with the card that we currently have.
Well, now I'm wondering about payment though.
I think we can set up automatic payment, but it's not as good as if it was, what we do at church is because it's right within there, I'm transferring money and paying it, and
Yeah, that's
it
what I'm
works
hoping.
smooth, which is what.
you
I
guys
wanted
can
to do.
resolve this after the meeting.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and
Well, it
Well,
does
sorry.
pertain to this policy though.
It does.
Okay, so let me look at the policy.
And then, look here. This is.
Yeah, that says 60 days.
Yeah, and the wording also doesn't make any sense, so you might want to edit that.
The balance, including interest due on an extension of credit under the credit card arrangement, shall be paid within not more than 60 days of the initial statement date.
But that still makes it late.
It's 60 days and within not more than, you should just say within 30 days, whatever your timeline is, but 60
So of
would
the
make it
initial
late,
payment
right?
date. I don't even know what their policy is on.
Where's the 60 days?
Okay.
It's on
Page,
And I hate to It makes it so messy.
Well, in theory, if you pay the credit card statement when it comes in, it's never gonna be paid. You don't need the 60 days now.
Right, but they still are gonna have to research anytime there's an invoice, that's not.
Right, but no one gives you 60 days anyway to pay something on time required.
Right, it's usually,
Credit card anyway.
So, and I, you know, I agree to this account thing, but I am still terrified of it, so.
What, this warrant under?
Yeah.
account?
Yeah, it's a mess. It's gonna create an absolute disaster, because I have no, we put it under that account and there's no accountability to those funds. It's just,
I
and
like,
there's no budget, so technically I can't even pay it.
so what about, oh, I saw one somewhere that had like a number where disputed items would go under
That's
that, and
what-
that would flag it for you
Yeah.
That's what this
guys.
is saying, but technically legally, I can't even pay it with this policy in place because we don't have any funds budgeted to it. So it creates a big,
could we
We can
budget
resolve that.
funds to it to take care of
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
What money you need in it?
Put it
I have
down.
no, that's the thing, I don't know.
Well, whatever your credit card limit is, you know, you're never gonna go beyond that, but you shouldn't have to have that.
Yeah,
much of
I
it.
would, that's what I'm saying.
But you're never gonna use it,
I
really.
hope so.
I mean, you can have a,
I hope that we will never have to use it.
but having the statements ahead enough so that the only real issue is if there's something that's incorrectly charged, like some entity charged your account and really had no business. As long as we find those right away, the other ones, you know, we own them.
Right,
So,
but
right, I know there's mechanics to it.
so I don't know how you guys want to change it. I mean,
Do we have time, or is this like a time, like we need to get this done tonight, or could, it sounds like if you and Karen and Rhonda got together on this and finished the final tweaking.
well, let me ask this, can we go ahead and approve the motion the way that it was presented just now? And come back, and then also come back to it? That would change at least that and or thing, so that we're not,
I think we're all in agreement. What we have right now is good. And if you can make it better, that's fine to come back and make it better.
Why can't you change the 60 days to 30?
because I don't know that that's what the policy is. I don't, right off the top of my head. I
Meaning
don't
the
know.
credit card
Yeah.
policy?
And it could change, like First National, it was only 20 days.
Yeah, a lot of them are just shy of 30 because
Yeah.
they're allowing a little
Oh,
bit of
right.
mailing and processing.
Yeah.
That just might be as, whatever credit card you're using, call and find out what that time frame is, and then we can insert that in.
Well,
Well, and if you just say by due date, then you're covered.
well, that's what I was gonna say, maybe
Yeah.
we just,
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, by
Let's
due date, that
approve it
makes
like it
sense.
is, Like we now,
Yeah.
and we can
we can
revisit
come back
it.
and revisit it.
That's right.
Okay, Chrissy's got a motion in. Do I have a second?
Yeah, that seconded it.
This is
But
money,
if you
so
know
we
you're
gotta
gonna
have a
change
roll call vote.
it,
Gary?
Yes.
Why are we doing?
I think it would.
Gary's yes, Rhonda?
Yes.
Ken, Jess, Christie,
Yes,
Bev,
Yes.
What was the motion?
it was to approve 2023-010 credit card usage policy with the following changes. Changing and to or in item C and removing the paragraph in item C that starts with except. That was already made, that was changed, was already made. All right, great.
this is just a little quick discussion. I'm working with Kate. We're looking at putting a walking path along the east side of the township, all the way out to the cemetery. On the back side of the cemetery and the Calhoun Trail, going all the way back to the property boundary. And then routing ourselves back to the driveway here. We talked with the county about the ditch and we might have to put a drainage thing in there. We plan on putting outdoor bathrooms. I just got permission from the DNR. They gave me an application to get an easement where we can actually take our walking path right down to the Calhaven Trail.
It'd have to be 20 feet or 10 feet, there's a stipulation on that.
They have a bunch of stuff I gotta fill out.
Right, okay.
They also gave me a permit and authorized that to clear that property of all the brush and down trees. And we're gonna be putting in native grass and flowers in the new cemetery that's not being used. We're gonna be mowing that and cutting it sharp, and then we're gonna get a machine from the county to come in there and plant. And I think that covers everything. Bathrooms, we also are looking at putting a kids area here with some kid type activities. The septic tanks over there, it might cause us some problems on the actual location where that can be. It cannot be over a septic field. So, and they got some criteria there, but we're working on that. We have an architect out of Kalamazoo that's providing us free service for doing this to get our grant, and she gets paid only if we get our grant. So that's very nice of that, so.
How'd you find that, Ken? I'm just curious.
You got it, it's all on tape.
Oh, okay,
Kate.
great.
Kate's doing a great job. She probably deserves a Clementine credit. Probably ought to do that. So that's that. Just let you know where we're at.
Valentine's, I thought you said Valentine's.
What's
This is April.
Ken, what's the timeline for that?
Well,
Is there a deadline?
the grant's the application has to be in, probably sooner than we're gonna be ready. But about every 3 months, they redo it. They give another grant period out. So what we're trying to do is be prepared for the next step, to grab the next, grant opening. And at the same time, we're doing one for, across from Page's Garage and next to the fire station for a basketball court. And then it would have, parking for them on the fire side, but it's gonna give you more parking for you guys, also, to park there if there's a problem. Okay? I think I covered it all. We're gonna go to 8.7. Cemetery ordinance, second read.
Have some comments.
I knew you'd have comments.
Okay, so there's several issues here. One,
So,
we've separated designated township officials into A and B, but there's not an A and B title. A does not have to be an elected official, so I don't know if we want to make it an elected official. Also, there are multiple references to the designated township official throughout the document. If we have two of them, then we need to change all of the places in the document, and we probably should be identifying which one is responsible for what.
well, the township elected official is the clerk. You do the administration portion of the cemetery.
No,
You don't?
it does not have to be.
She keeps the records, that's all.
You
she
do
does.
the record keeping, right?
We have designated me as the township official for right now, but does not mean that I have to be the person. It is often the clerk in many townships, but it is not required.
The
Well, who's required to have the records?
The records.
The
I am.
records, that's right.
Okay.
The quick
So this
solution,
was, okay. I think I like the,
the quick solution to this
yeah,
is just make the section the designated official.
But we can't do that.
Why?
Well, because a lot of these items in here that are being performed in the office when people come to the window to buy plots, to pay things, to, there's a lot of it's happening here.
there's an administrative aspect to this.
And so
And
I'm
then there's
saying,
a statutory aspect that you have as
Yeah.
clerk. And we need to define that.
and he does not want to do all of the paperwork parts,
Who doesn't?
Michael,
Well, no, I don't,
and he shouldn't. That's not
I
what
don't
that's
think we're
for.
asking him to do that, are we?
So, but a lot of things in here that say designated official are administrative.
So, okay, so I'm trying to understand.
Just change it to the sports staff.
which we don't have.
Yeah, you do. We have, we have,
What are you calling, Ruthie right now? What's her job assignment?
Administrative assistant.
Well, then why don't we just change township elected officials, the administrative assistant?
Before now, before this board, how did people get a gravesite in this township? Somehow it was happening, so how were they doing it? What
They're
is,
doing it.
they were doing it
Through Jeff Gadsden.
okay, and we're not gonna do that, okay, which I get, okay?
Ruth is, I will also say Ruth is not thrilled of signing off on things that require money to come into the township. And that's what a lot of these things are. She wants somebody else to sign those things as a checks and balances type thing. So while she may be the one receiving it, she wants somebody else to be the signer.
Can we require that it's check only for one?
Most of them are.
Okay,
I don't want to do that. I'm just saying, I don't know why, like, I get if we want to include a description of the section, I guess we can. But I'm not sure how this all came up and I don't know what the concerns are.
Well, I think that the section should be taking care of the grounds.
Yes.
And anything to do with that.
And that already says that in there.
Okay, now, if you want somebody to,
We want the person that is actually, with it. At the window doing the title stuff and, getting the information for them and setting up stuff. And that's what you're telling me Ruth is doing now. Does she do the title? You have to do the title,
I
right?
signed it. She's doing she's doing the bulk of the work, but I'm acting as a designated official and I'm signing things.
Are you the designated official right now?
Yeah. That's all I'm doing. It's not a highly intensive
So you,
activity.
all you need to do is say the township designated, the official would be that the township clerk, has been designated.
You don't have to do anything. You already did all this.
baby pictures.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Well, you don't have a definition for a section in this thing.
Correct. So we could add the definition for section.
Okay,
if
if you
you
take
want.
this section out, you wanna get the designated official eliminated.
So she's saying leave it alone.
I'm saying leave it alone the way it is. Not the way that it is edited, but the way it was.
But and then you added the markers and memorial, right?
No, I did not change anything in
You didn't
this.
put these markers in,
I did not change a thing in this.
did we put those in there?
where are the
Markers and,
My opinion is to leave it as, we have not even been able to fully implement what we already have.
Oh, yes, I see. This
So-
is, so what they're looking at, that was already in our ordinance, wasn't it?
I think.
I don't understand why it's in red.
Okay, so this is the
Only
thing.
one,
This is my opinion, take it or leave it. We have not had the opportunity and then enough time to implement this fully and ensure and find the holes. When we can implement it fully and find the holes, then maybe we come back and review it. But for my opinion right now is just let good enough, well enough be alone and try to work with it the way it is.
Well, you can put in,
all this in the red is already in there.
it
And
should
I
be.
make sure that everybody is aware, this is an ordinance, which means I have to publish this. If we make changes, we are incurring many costs.
This should all be in
We
our
have to in
current,
there.
because we have to use foundations.
Yes, we already have all that stuff in there.
So where did the red come from?
I don't know where the red came from.
I don't know where that comes from.
that was our first read on this.
We didn't have that.
I got it in
I've
black on
got
mine.
it in mine.
You got it in black?
No, I got it in red.
Yours is in black?
Yeah,
Mine only one's got it in red? Yeah, I have.
mine's in red.
Oh, we're special.
Mine, black.
So
Yeah,
I guess
mine's red online.
ultimately the question is,
Because I'm seeing what the public is seeing. I'm not in iCompass.
right,
So this is what the public is seeing.
well, which is weird because I don't know how that ended up like that because
Is yours in black?
Mine's in black except for that designated township official in the section.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Because mine's red.
It is-
Okay, so basically, we just wanna go back, just leave it alone, right?
That's my opinion.
Anyone else got a different opinion? I mean-
But do you have in here, was it, under the designated township official B, where it says the employer contract services? The board is designated via resolution of the township section as a caretaker and enforcer of the care and control of.
So it says right now, it says designated township official is the official the board has designated via resolution as the official administer and administratively enforce this.
Right, right,
That's what it says right now.
okay, okay. Below that,
That stuff is not in there right now.
Oh, the gray flags.
Well, can we go ahead and can we designate Michael Douglas as a section up in just the.
We already-
Resolution?
No, we already did that.
he already is.
Isn't that covered in his contract?
Yeah.
Yes,
No,
Is this?
there is no change it.
okay, we'll make a motion to get rid of it then. Get it second. Make a motion to get rid of it.
Okay, I don't know what I'm moving for.
Just move to not take any action.
I'll move to not take any action on the cemetery ordinance.
Well, I didn't want you to be that clear. Can I get a second? Gary made a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Did everyone say aye? Aye,
Yeah.
Gary? Boy, that other one's painful. Oh, here we are, we're down in the new business finally. Finally. Oh, gotta just get my computer back up to date.
Do we need to do anything other than say we received this information on the way?
I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna put a couple line on here, signed it, and say I agree it.
Oh, we're not even that far yet. This is the waste recycling thing,
That's right.
It's, yeah.
which is not the tire thing. Can we just say,
It's the
yep,
entire thing.
look, we
Oh, yeah.
have received this and we can talk about it later if need be.
Well, I got an email. Is that the email?
Right, we have to, don't we have to make a decision for them?
Oh,
They need a letter signed and possibly some,
This was covered
Some
last time,
financial
but we
support?
voted not to take advantage of it. not to-
Yeah, now they did a bunch of work for us. Now they're asking us to donate some money.
donate money. What does that have to do with the grant?
I don't know.
uh,
I don't think it does.
it would show, well, if you guys read that award letter, it says it would show that some seed money. I don't know, I feel like partnering and supporting that grant might be a good idea because eventually it might help move recycling over to our way, but in the meantime, going to Arlington Township would be great because I currently drive to South Haven to recycle.
So what is the request?
The request is for the supervisor to sign that letter of support and if possible, the board giving a small, seed money award. Seed money award?
Is that all the way at the
Read
bottom of
letter.
that?
Oh, that's the
Well,
letter.
I highlighted it.
So the letter's not in the packet, the template
Oh.
letter?
No,
In the letter, I don't see the letter.
no, I don't see the letter either. That's why I'm-
It's not my fault the letter's not there, guys. So that's what the letter
I put it in
basically
here.
said. And what I'm saying, what my thought on this is. The township can't give donations unless they're receiving something of equal value. And if we're receiving the right for our citizens to go over there and recycle, we're getting something of equal value. We could probably give that with a few $100s or.
If we
No,
go
we
in
don't
agreement
think
with
it's
Arlington Township, we probably will be doing some sort of, giving out a bus pass, only it won't be a bus pass, and we will be paying part of it.
Let me see if I can find that. Let me.
Kelly wanted us to do a letter of support.
Well, I don't have a problem with voting for a letter of support for recycling services in our area.
Then the letter of support is proposal of the district, the infrastructure grant to continue work for confidential addition local municipalities.
Here
The Van Buren Compensation District project. When we recognize financial, environment, social. And then they would, so our commitment to this project will include assistance with education, providing recycling information at our office for in-person events, assist with education, sharing information, website, Facebook, newsletters, or mailers, and provide financial investment in the form of grant matching funds in the amount of X.
And have they how much do they need in matching funds and how much are they requesting from?
Well, they haven't told me that. I can get back with her and find out.
Okay, I move to postpone until next month.
Is there a time deadline on this one?
I don't think so. They're just looking for a letter. This letter would go in with, when they turn in grants to show that they got community support.
I just don't know, right now what I'm seeing is I don't hear that we have the information we need in order to make an accurate.
Well, in the application submission information, talks about $500 or more.
Okay, so we know $500 is the minimum, but what do they need?
This is provide financial investment in the form of grant matching funds in the amount of,
I would just go with the minimum for now.
provide financial investments in the form of matching funds
Project will include
based on project.
recycling
Can we
information.
put something like that in there? This letter we can modify.
I'm not worried about the letter. I'm trying to figure out what the need is.
Okay, this letter
I'm not-
is,
The letter I'm not worried about. I understand that we need the letter.
then you need to, then we gotta
I'm
go.
trying to figure out how much money they need.
Well, 500 is the minimum.
Right.
I don't think they're looking for that. I
That's,
think it has nothing to do with that.
and so then I was trying to find, what I'd like to find is what are their requirements
Hold on.
for
I'm
matching?
gonna read you the letter. Hello all, thank you for being willing to work together with Arlington Township to get recycling services to Columbia Township residents. It's amazing how quickly timelines come up. As I am sure you all know that your amazing grant projects, I will definitely keep you in mind for future grants. If I see more opportunities and have projects, for your transfer station. To help support the grant, would you please provide a letter of support? It would make us much more competitive as well if within that letter, you are able to commit to a little grant match as well. I have attached a good template for that. Please feel free to edit this as you like. We really appreciate your partnership and both is you all the
Okay,
best.
So I would like to know how much the project is going to cost, what the required grant match is before we make a decision. Because I don't want to just say, here's $500 and our citizens have been asking repeatedly for recycling. So if we need to provide a little more so that we can ensure that happens, I'd like to know if we need to do that. But I can't tell from that information.
We could do a resolution tonight. I mean, we could approve this tonight with the minimum amount and then we could go up if. Oh, no, we can't.
You have to
We
do that
can't.
to exceed.
So why can't we, in the past, we had given them, it was either 900 or 1,000.
So give me a limit, and I'll call her and I'll find out what it is.
I can't I cannot make an educated decision without knowing all the detail. That's my opinion.
So you go with no money.
No, I want to give them money.
I
don't know
think-
what.
What I read in that letter was something in the way of
Financial.
But,
award
okay,
matching,
Okay.
grant matching
I have a suggestion.
would be helpful.
They're saying it's due by May 19th. Our next May meeting is on the 16th.
So if we
Oh,
solve
that's
this-
just so last minute.
Well,
Why can't we approve 500 tonight or 1,000 tonight? And then if you guys want to approve more next month,
No, so.
and it only has 3 days.
My brain just kicked in. Take her if you're gonna get you. We only have 18 people that down at the transfer station that are taking the opportunity of recycling.
What?
Well, they have other recycling things and we have people going to different recycling locations and they got a list of who goes where.
Okay, stop.
People don't go there because there's no recycling
Okay.
there.
Well, I'm just trying to tell you, we know there's 18 people that are interested in the recycling.
There's
That's-
19.
Now, and
I drive to South Haven to recycle every week.
Okay, listen. This is what I'm gonna explain a little bit about how normally grant processing goes. And how we can get around this. First of all, Ken can tell them, we've had a board discussion, it seems as though the board is in support. However, we need more information to make an educated decision.
I've
From what
got
I
a great idea.
From what I've gathered, we'll be able to issue you your letter. But give us more information so that we can make an educated decision at our next board meeting. Yes, it will be last minute.
We could take it not to exceed tonight.
However, if we wait until then and we tell them that it's coming, he tells them it's coming. Then we can make an educated decision that night. All they have to do is stick that letter in the grant package. And yes, the amount they do need to calculate into their grant, but they have to come up with that matching fund somehow. So they're gonna have to calculate it in there. So if we can at least convey to them, this is what our plan is. We would like you to give us more information and then we can present that and get the information you need at our next board meeting.
So I'll get a hold of Larry
I
Tyre.
want them to know that we are supportive, but I
Why
want them
can't we
to,
just be supportive?
because I don't know how much money they need. I don't know how to make a decision of 500.
Okay, we killed this. I will get a hold of Callie.
Well,
They
there's,
were willing to accept zero, so.
Okay, you wanna make a motion to make a motion, whatever you want.
Postpone until next month. No, okay, scratch that. I'm gonna move to postpone until our next meeting.
Okay. Christie made a motion. I got a second.
not really.
Okay,
No second, oh, there we go.
you get a second? Run me a second. I'll do all the legwork on this and I will have an answer quickly.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
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 You have a name.
That's a no. A no.
No,
Okay, we got a split decision here. But I'm not gonna change my mind. I'll take care of this.
Hold on, do we have 3 ayes?
Yeah,
Okay,
Rhonda, you and me.
okay.
I'll take care of this.
So you're already gonna let her know that you're gonna at least sign the letter.
Give her $1,000. Board policy discussion, invoice deadlines, publishing dates, consent. Didn't we do all this?
It's first I've heard of it.
So you have a note that you want a motion. That I don't think can be made a motion. I think it needs to be a resolution or a policy. I would prefer a policy. And in that case, we need to write one.
or what? What are we talking about here?
So this, he has on here, move to require receipt of a complete consent agenda package by 5 p.m. the Friday prior to the third Tuesday of the month. No business will be added to consent agenda after 5 p.m. without a vote of the township board.
I put that on here. We talked about this at the last meeting that we want to try to get our consent agenda package out by Friday, 5 p.m. So we have time to read all these, things in here so we can come in and make a decision, even though we've already moved stuff to the next meeting.
Did you mean just the consent agenda? Or did you mean the whole agenda
The
package?
whole agenda package.
Because that's not what your note says.
No, and I'm not opposed to having a policy. I want to make that clear. What I'm opposed to is making it a simple motion. I think in order to,
Well, I think we have one, don't we, already?
we have a resolution.
It says that we're supposed to have it.
It's not worded anywhere close to what you're talking about.
Okay.
However, I would like to encourage us that if this is something we want to look at, that we should have a policy. I provided, a link to another township that's very similar to ours in size. It's General Law Township. That has a sim, Concord.
Where's that?
I looked it up.
Yeah, what?
It's in Jackson County.
Yep,
That's not anywhere close to what we have here.
and they had the same number of the population and everything was very similar.
They also have a lot of infrastructure and other,
Okay, that's fine. I was just giving it as an example. I'm not saying we have to use it. That's not my point. My point is that we should have a policy if we're going to do this. It shouldn't be just a vote that's gonna get thrown under the table and nobody's gonna see it again. I mean, yes, but minutes are always available. We have them all over the place, but that's a difficult tracking device.
I'm confused now. I'm confused.
He's wanting to put it in policy with a motion.
Oh, okay, so an emotion would be considered what, a resolution?
Number one, you need to read what I wrote. I said the board policies discussion.
Yeah.
We're just discussing it. We're not
Okay.
trying to do something
Right.
tonight. We're trying to say, what do you want in it? I mean, the 72 hours is one thing, right? We're trying to get it by 5 o'clock on Friday that we have our agenda package to us so that we can review, so that we have enough time over the weekend, and come Tuesday, we can come in here and be able to walk right through a thing, what we want to change and how we want it to be, and to get it the way we want it.
There are other things that we have to discuss with that. Number one, if we need to add an item to the agenda between that cutoff and the board meeting, it is much more preferable to allow some sort of a way to do that before the meeting rather than in the meeting. When you add it in the meeting, it creates difficulties with minute keeping. So,
Well, then it has to be in on that Friday or whenever we decide.
Well,
I'm talking about like an emergency
but
situation.
we can have agenda package on Friday sent out with whatever we
And
have.
then the other thing is that if that's another thing that we want to maintain, one of the things I've been talking about many times over is having a cutoff date documented for invoices. So that there's no feeling that any invoices received in that time period must be processed.
Oh, I
So,
see what you're saying here.
yeah.
With invoices received by such and such date,
Yeah.
those would be in the packet.
Right,
Anything after that date wouldn't, because it
that's how the
would.
next board meeting is. So all I'm saying is that I think that if we're going to address this issue, that it should be a complete policy and it should consider all of the other impacts to the process.
Is it the date received of the invoices, you're saying?
Yep.
And you thought 8 days ahead?
Yes, to allow for a proper processing.
Okay, so what's your motion gonna be?
What did we discuss this?
Good, we discussed it.
this is the,
Anyone taking any action?
You know, he has something to say.
oh, if we're just discussing this, then let's just move this to next month. Because it's not an emergency type of.
Right.
Not an emergency, but I'll just put it on the agenda next month's discussion. We don't have to say that we're gonna do that. And what I'll try to do is I'll try to get some format of a policy that covers the items that we talked about.
Right.
So I will do that. I'm gonna write 10 here so I don't forget. The next one is election cost. And I just added this because I wanted everyone to know how many elections we have and how they fall out.
They're from the corner and it's taking screenshots.
What was it?
Taking picture.
How many screens have I got?
Well, there's,
They used to do that. Where did I get a support from?
I could not make any educated discussions about the cost of elections.
These new rules aren't gonna come into play until next year. And
Till March.
according to the meeting that was just held Wednesday, with the county, with the Board of Elections information that they have. Susie Rom says that it's, since the legislators, our great legislators in Lansing haven't even got their ducks in a row yet, and don't even know if they're gonna have them all ready to go by the next November election, it's gonna be probably, chaos unless Lansing gets their stuff ready. So,
What are they changing? A lot of, I mean,
The biggest,
besides the primary, is that it?
yeah, so the biggest change is the requirement of having somebody staff.
Oh, the 9 to 10
For 9
day
days.
thing, oh.
yeah.
And what I know now, the only thing I know now is that Susie does not want to do it. She does not want to do it combined. And I know
They'll
that
want to, and
she can't be forced to.
She was asking the other townships though, if they wanted to and how to work with it. I mean,
Interesting,
Yeah, that was during the meeting.
okay. Oh, okay.
because they're all in the same boat.
Oh, yeah, I know. So as of right now, you have to have 3 elected officials, election officials.
available
Working,
all the time.
available all the time, yeah.
Yeah, they need to get that sorted for sure.
That's the biggest one. There are several other things that are involved, but that's the biggest.
And what we do is, we don't know now,
Right,
and we may not know for
Next year.
So do we know how to charge the school board for this election? Because they have to reimburse us, correct?
Yeah,
yeah,
direct
but they
costs.
won't be able to reimburse us for any of my salary, but they will be able to reimburse for other things.
For everything else.
Yeah, all
All
the,
the direct.
That's good.
all other costs get picked up.
I wouldn't say direct, but yes, all of the other costs.
so I would say we leave the salaries as they are, and the statutory duties. And then submit the, bills for the, what you just call it, extra staff or whatever, the inspectors and that sort of thing, so that we're reimbursed. The only thing this May is the school. So it should be,
And you can track mail costs, postage and everything?
yeah,
Is that
sure
correct?
it would be.
And there's 2024.
Anything that has to do with the election.
Not quite, but yes.
That would be my comment. And the people that work that can designate that through the election. Or for the election. So that we're reimbursed.
What kind of
Time
things
sheets
can
you're
we,
talking about?
What?
Time sheets are you
Time
talking about?
sheets, yes.
What is that? I'm confused. What was that comment about?
That, it's just like you bill it with time sheets from your inspectors and whatever hours they put in and the mailings and everything else.
We still have to pay them, just to be
Oh,
clear.
I know that.
Oh, okay, I was confused by the comment.
do they reimburse?
We get reimbursed for that.
Yeah.
So it should be kept separate so they know what to reimburse. Sure, we have to pay them.
Well, we're not keeping everything
Okay.
separate, so.
We got no action there. Tire haulers agreement for 3 Dunk Day, that's the Larry Tires that we've already talked about. I'm just gonna go ahead and, put a line out here and sign my name to it and send it back to him. I guess I need a motion to approve Larry,
Tire as presented.
Christie made a motion, did I get a second?
Second.
Yeah, second by Gary, all in favor, got a roll call vote, Gary,
Yes.
Rhonda,
Yes.
Ken, yes. Christie,
Yes,
Beverly,
Yes.
sheriff work crew, if you guys have anything that you need done, give me, a little short description, I'll get it on the list. I've asked Mike to tell me if he needed to work, I got him down for a day already.
just one day.
I got it down for day. I asked him if he needed more, you need to let me know.
Who was that?
Mike,
Mike.
or Sexton. I got stuff for the transfer station. I got stuff for out here and they're looking for like rain day stuff. If there's any rain day inside stuff, they would work that as it comes. That's all we need to say about
No
that.
rain ponchos?
The next one is bleachers for the ball field. I found some metal bleachers and I've been talking to Kate and she says that we'll probably put the bleachers in as part of the grant and go that way. I told her that we need to replace some bleacher things and we,
You also need to replace the team stands,
the what?
the team benches.
The team benches and we'll probably just go put wood back in there.
Well,
Put composite on them.
Yeah.
I can put composite in there.
Yeah.
I'll get a price on composite and I'll take care of that with a.
It'll last a while.
Sure.
And the fencing needs to be
The
repaired.
backboard, the back.
I think I got enough fencing, I can fix that.
Okay, still needs to be repaired. And the
But
other
if
thing,
that's gonna be included in the grant, other than us paying for it. I say hold off on the bleachers and stuff until we get the ball field ready to go.
Mhm.
Well,
Because you're putting the cart before the horse.
And if you're gonna put all this stuff in the grant, then you gotta, we need all base pieces that are missing, the bases themselves.
bases over there, yeah,
Yeah, but we don't have the attachment points, remember?
well, I got it.
Anyway.
I'll make those.
Hey, just tell Kate about it before you.
Yeah, I'll get it on the list, we'll get a new one.
Yeah, if we can get grant money loaded up.
And then the other thing for the grant, so we have the bases, the fencing, this is all stuff with the bleachers. Moon dust, again, because we might as well do it if it's gonna get covered. And all of those things for that, and then the gazebo needs to have stuff in the top to keep the birds out.
Just makes me think of glitter. We're
Bird
gonna
net,
do
right?
bird netting,
Okay,
They haven't told us if you can put up there.
okay, is that done with that? Give me a list, I'll check it twice. Public comment. You're on.
You want me to stand up or guys stay seated?
What way you're more comfortable?
Probably more like this. As far as gazebo goes, I heard you say something about the little spike strips.
Mhm.
That's a good idea because they'll keep the birds. And as far as the dump. All that stuff going, how come they can't just throw recycling stuff in a dump we have now where you put a dumpster out there with cardboard and a dumpster out there for plastic? I mean, why can't they just do that right here in Columbia Township?
Well, I can,
I'm sorry, I'm just gonna say,
Yeah,
this
I'm
was,
sorry.
it's okay.
It's probably because of the hours that it's open.
So I'm just, because our esteemed supervisor forgot to mention it, we're actually not allowed to
We're not
interact with you
we can't
during your public comments.
We're
So
just-
somebody
Alright,
will reach
then-
out to you afterwards.
Here's another thing. I was wondering, I think I talked to you earlier this month, Ken, about drainage issues over on 56th Street.
Yes,
Just wondering if anything was coming of that.
I took the road commission over there.
Meeting.
I can talk to you that after the meeting.
Okay, I suppose there's also a county drain that was supposed to be put in that block that went from the 56th Street. All the way to the east, all the way down into the other,
I can answer that too after the meeting.
okay, because they started doing it, then they stopped doing it. So anyway, and then, is there a blight law in this area, township,
There what?
a blight law? Can you answer that?
I can't answer that, but I can talk to you about it after the meeting.
There's a house over here that is just absolutely nasty.
Robert.
You wanna talk to him? Right after the
Okay.
meeting.
All right,
Start with him. I'm gonna stay around longer than he will.
all right. I think I'm pretty much done. I think I have pretty much what I got out of my chest.
And your name for the record,
Dave Parker,
there you go. Thank you.
on my address.
Nope, that's okay.
Name, rank, and
Okay,
serial
well,
number.
Karen, you're on.
The only thing that came to mind was, I'm glad that you're working toward having the packages done a little earlier. I think it's gonna help all of you. So,
Okay, is that it? Anyone else have any public comment? Karen, did you get everything tonight? Thumbs up. I always like when you do thumbs up. Okay. We're at correspondence announcement, Christie? Nothing? Gary, board comment.
None at this time.
Rhonda,
The only thing I have is to ask Christie if I can have access to Menard. That's the only thing I don't have.
Nobody's using it right now, but you can have access to it if you'd like.
Thank you.
let's see. Remember,
Yes. I have a comment actually for my wonderful, lovely elderly neighbor who has lived there for years and years in a beautiful home, her and her late husband built. And the drain, it was either road commission or drain commission hung up on her after she called a couple times because there's an issue in some drain things that they put in. And they've never done it right. We continue to call, but it flooded across her driveway, caused damage, and she called. And she spoke to one woman who was very nice, and she calls trying to get a higher up, and the guy told her, I'm not coming out there and cleaning every stick that gets stuck in those rocks, and hung up on her. So I told her I will say something to the board because she does not do email. She doesn't want to call down here. But she does come to mind.
you know the address, what street's it on?
She's on 52nd Street and I can get you her address and I'll email that to you.
Yeah,
That happened to be down there by the river.
Yes, it's leading up to it. So it flooded one neighbor's, it was from all that rain. It made a little river from one pond down to another pond over her driveway.
okay, Christie,
Nothing.
okay, I'm more out. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
The motion by Beverly. Rhonda second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, win.
Time is it? 8:45?